Okay, I kind of want to go over this and give you guys all a heads up on the live that we're planning to do, hoping to be able to do tonight, Friday night, April the 22nd. It will be later. It will be 8 o'clock and even later. I'm not sure yet, but I will definitely get it scheduled and posted out as soon as we are sure what time it's going to be. But I'm going to give you a heads up on what we're talking about. I'm sure a lot of you are aware that execution seems to be going really rampant right now. However, as I've said many times, I am not opposed to the death penalty, but in certain cases I am. The Innocence Project actually sent me a text message last weekend asking for our help with this case here. And this lady is to be put to death next week by execution. The Innocence Project has taken on her case, as well as politicians, celebrities. And if you're not familiar with her case and haven't heard of it yet, that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. We're going to be tweeting it to the Innocence Project, as well as tagging them in it and things of that nature, because they have asked for our help. There is a petition as well, and I will link that down below, and if you would like to sign it, we would appreciate that, and we're going to promote it at the live tomorrow as well. And this is Melissa Lucio, and in less than a week, on April the 27th, she's only 53 years old as well, she is scheduled to be strapped to a gurney in Texas execution chamber, and a lethal dose of drugs will be administered to her. She is the only Latina woman on death row. She was sentenced to death after she was convicted of killing her 2-year-old daughter, Mariah, in 2007. Okay, this is a mother of 11 surviving children, and she has insisted from the very beginning that Mariah was hurt after she accidentally fell down a flight of stairs. Her case has drawn attention, as I said, from politicians, celebrities, national media, because of the flaws in her case. They cast lots of doubt on her guilt. Even 5 of the jurors that convicted her to this death penalty have now asked that the state parole board and Governor Greg Abbott please stop her execution. Her children are pleading and begging for mercy, and they are literally fighting for her life. See what happened? It was in February, 15 years ago, when the family of 2-year-old Mariah Alvarez called 911 after the toddler was found unresponsive in her South Texas apartment. Lucio and her children told police that Mariah, the youngest of her 12 kids, had accidentally fallen down the stairs a couple of days earlier, but police suspected that the child had been killed after they found several bruises, scratches, and what appeared to be bite marks on her body. Mariah's death was later determined to be caused by blunt force injury to the head. Melissa, being the main suspect from the beginning, stood by her story during a lengthy late-night interrogation the night of her daughter's death and into the next morning. Completely exhausted and pregnant with twins at the time, she broke down and admitted that she had spanked and bitten Mariah. She said, "What do you want me to say? I'm responsible for it?" That is what she said when a Texas Ranger pushed her on the apparent bite mark on Mariah's back. Her supporters believe her confession of abuse was absolutely coerced. She never confessed to killing her daughter or causing her head injury, but the other admissions led police and prosecutors to charge her with capital murder. At the trial, Texas Ranger Victor Escalon told the jury that he knew right away that she was guilty based on her body language and demeanor when he was questioning her. He said, "Right then and there, I knew she did something." That is what he says, sitting straight in the witness box. Then on July the 10th, 2008, a Cameron County jury convicted her and sentenced her to death. One of the jurors actually testified at a recent hearing, and he said he thinks there should be a new trial. He said, "I am now convinced that the jury got it wrong, and it's too much doubt to execute her. If I could take back my vote, I would. I would be haunted by her execution if this goes forward. The juror also said that he felt very pressured by the other jurors to sentence her. And he is not the only juror either. The jury forewoman named Melissa, she's also had a change of heart. She said, "The trial left me thinking that Melissa was a monster, but now I see her as a human being who was made to seem evil because I didn't have all of the evidence that I needed to make the decision." This is what she said in an affidavit to the parole board. She went on to say that Miss Lucio deserves a new trial and for a new jury to hear this evidence. Lucio also gave birth to twins in a prison hospital and was forced to give them up for adoption. Melissa's own childhood was nothing short of a nightmare, according to the Innocence Project, which has joined her legal team. They say that Melissa's earliest memories as a child growing up in Lubbock, Texas, are of her mother being abused by her partner. Melissa says that she was essayed and abused by older relatives beginning from the age of 6. She left home to escape the nightmare, and she married at 16 years old. At the time of Mariah's death, she had 12 children between the ages of 2 and 15. The judge at her trial did not allow a psychologist to test about her history of SA as a child or a domestic violence as an adult. The Innocence Project said coerced false confession are a leading cause of wrongful conviction and even more prevalent among women wrongfully convicted of killing a child. Supporters say women who've been abused are especially vulnerable to coerced confessions, especially when questioning is aggressive and prolonged. Dental molds, fingernail clippings, and Melissa's ring were taken to seek matches to injuries on Mariah's body, and none of the evidence were ever tested. With Melissa's interrogation statements in hand, the prosecution didn't need to test for things like DNA. This is what the district attorney said at the trial. The DA would later be sent to federal prison for corruption in his own office that occurred around the time of Melissa's trial. He was actually caught accepting bribes for going easier on defendants in other cases. And now the current prosecutor who set her execution date has been under a lot of pressure to intervene. The DA has the option to withdraw his request to set the execution date. But until this week, it has been insisted that he stood by the process that led to her conviction. But after hearing from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle during the emotional hearing in Austin, he's relented. If the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals or Abbott doesn't stop this execution, he said that he would withdraw his request. Now, if Melissa does not get a stay by a certain day, then I will do what I have to do to stop it. See, Democrats and Republicans in the Texas legislature do not agree on much these days anyway. But lawmakers from both sides of the aisle believe that Melissa's execution should be halted. In fact, there is a bipartisan effort to grant clemency to the woman who's scheduled to become the first ever Latina executed in Texas. State Representative Jeff Leach, he is a Plano Republican and chair of the Interim Criminal Justice Reform Committee, said that the lawmakers would hold him to his word. He went on to say that my understanding of his remarks to the committee were that if we don't get a stay or clemency issued, then we will step in and withdraw his request for an execution date. This is unequivocal to the committee, and we got it on tape. Her case has gotten attention from national news organizations in Hollywood. Last month, HBO's Last Week Tonight mentioned her case in an episode on wrongful convictions. Last year, Hulu released The State of Texas versus Melissa, raising questions about her guilt. Kim Kardashian has also expressed support for her and has signed the petition urging Abbott to stop her execution. She wrote on the petition, After she called for help, she was taken into custody by police. Melissa is a survivor of abuse and domestic violence herself, and after being interrogated for hours and falsely pleading guilty, she just wanted the interrogation to end. But police made her words out to be a confession. She said, "It is stories like Melissa that makes me speak so loud about the death penalty in general and why it should be banned when innocent people are suffering." Melissa's children, siblings, and mother are traveling the state and working tirelessly to shine the spotlight on her case. Her son John said, I believe God is the one that's pushing me. I'm running on fumes." This is what he said after he testified at his mother's hearing. He was 15 years old when his youngest sister died, and he believes with everything in his heart that his mother is innocent, not only of causing Mariah's death, but of ever abusing her. He said, "I know she's innocent. My mother was a woman that lacked discipline in our family, which we very much needed. She didn't know what discipline was. We were spoiled kids. She was not a woman of abuse. If we had the money, my mother wouldn't even be on death row." He said that his mother's defense attorney did a very poor job and believes that there was a lot of corruption involved in her case. He said that his mother has received thousands of letters and she's thankful, so grateful for all of the support. She was so stunned to learn that Kim Kardashian had even been advocating on her behalf. He said his mother, who gets dozens of letters of support daily from all over the world, is praying for her supporters and wishes she could respond to them all. But as we get closer and closer towards April the 27th, Melissa and her loved ones are praying that the people in power are paying attention and will take action before it is too late.
Parole for clemency.
A miracle and mercy are among the prayers for Melissa Lucio as rallies like this are held all across Texas.
What would it mean to you to have your mom back with you?
Everything. I even told her myself that I consider her my best friend.
In an interview with CBS News, Lucio's son Bobby is begging Texas to reconsider.
If they go through with it, they'll be killing an innocent woman.
In 2008, the Harlingen mom was convicted of killing her 2-year-old daughter. Mariah died in her sleep 2 days after falling down these stairs outside her family's Cameron County home. Harlingen police questioned Lucio, who was pregnant with twins, for hours.
Now, were you a cold-blooded killer, or were you a frustrated mother who just took it out on her for whatever reason?
No. Lucio told investigators she was innocent more than 100 times in that interrogation, according to the Innocence Project.
Her so-called confession was the result of highly coercive interrogation tactics, some of which are so coercive that they're no longer used today.
CPS records also she never physically harmed her children. Lucio's lawyers want to introduce new evidence they say proves Mariah's death was an accident. At least 4 jurors signed petitions saying had they heard those details in 2008, they would have decided differently. An unprecedented bipartisan group of 87 Texas lawmakers want Lucio's case to be reevaluated as her children soak in the time they have with their mother now.
I really try not to think about the future because right now I have what I want.